current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC.
Sometimes they shout things out too, right?
What you want, if you're on track, if you're where you should be, then it's dead silent and everyone's focused and listening. You don't want to hear noise from the audience.
There were some errors made.
I've really been trying to make sense of this, because I'm thinking, well, what the hell's going on?
I don't want to use the word hate. There seems to be, I'm struggling with the idea that anything of quality could come out of this group of people. It's really interesting to me, and I'm wondering why.
For reasons that aren't obvious, but I've been trying to figure that out, and you can't do that. Everything gets compressed to a kind of oversimplified entertainment. We can handle 40-hour complex, multi-layered narratives where the characters shift, where the complexity starts to reach the same complexity as great literature, and there's a massive market for it, something that isn't possible within their framework of reference. I've been trying to think this through very carefully because, it's their moral responsibility, and the public hunger for that is best conceptualized like that because we're not beholden to any corporate masters.
It's a very limiting format, and it's a format that, in my opinion, is like, it might as well be smoke signals or ham radio or something. It's dumb. I'm like, what genius thought that it would be a good idea? It's very strange to me.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things going on. I think one of them is that the quality people are starting to desert, like rats leaving a sinking ship. And so it cheapens everything. And then the other thing that I think is happening is there's ever more enticement to use clickbait journalism to attract a diminishing portion of the remaining audience.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, how the hell did that happen?
I'm seeing like some of the resistance to this.
Well, it has to be about politics. It's like to turn everything into a polarized political discussion takes no real intellectual energy. It's made more stupid than it has to be.
This is so true and so important because you see that play out over and over again. There's very little variation.
And it's a very strange experience because that's a structure that involves, there's buzzwords, right, which is it's an absolute embarrassment from the perspective of a reasonable player. And so now you can think about that as an eternal problem. It's actually functioning unbelievably well, even though it still has its problems. It's like, no, it's actually going to hell in a handbasket. Everything is getting worse in all possible ways, and it's utterly unfair, and it should be torn down and rebuilt. You get to be put in a box and put off the shelf. Some of it is genuine, but some of it is, well, it's bad because when you play it out, you've got the access then, and you've got 6 minutes, and maybe it's an hour long, something like that. And if you don't play that out, you actually fail, right? Because you can't start a long-form game and you've got 6 minutes. And so that's part of the pathology.
Like you end up dead.
You end up rounded up.
Who's establishing these norms? Like who's
That's a good question, man.
Yeah, who is?
Well, I just don't get it. It's not acceptable.
So there's these certain things that you're not allowed to deviate from.
Which they clearly are. Well,
that seems to me to be something that should be the
I don't think they
antithesis
can.
of what they stand for.
I don't think they can, Joe. I think they're killing their brand so fast that they can't.
But it's so disturbing to me as a person who's been a fan of them forever.
I know.
I just don't understand how they could allow that to happen. How could you allow your
they have their reasons, but I look at that and I think, oh well, you can only do that 10 times until you're done, because it's a fatal error. You're burning up your brand. It's a shell of its former self. Like the big things disappear, and they disappear when they get crooked. But it'll die faster than people think.
But it's so confusing to me that it didn't used to be that.
Yeah.
And now it is.
Millions of people a month are getting access to this incredible technology that's embodied in cell phones. That works in the short term, but it alienates people from the brand and speeds their demise. It doesn't have the same guttural punch. Classic death spiral of a big organization. And that's going to clean things out like mad. And it's because we're looking for something deeper. And instead of saying...
But we're also building toward the game after that. And it's the one you keep asking about.
He said...
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
And I thought, you absolute son of a bitch. You're ruining your game. Given that lack, how are you going to compete? And the answer is, you're not.
it's deceptive. When you edit someone and take their words out of context and change them around, you're being deceptive.